Population 1 seems so hard, but it's really not. If you could just follow some simple rules in what is called the Fortnite of VR, I know that before long, you'll be getting first place nearly every time. Number 1, just rush in and start blasting. No, I'm kidding. Don't do that. Actually, number 1 is coordinate with your team. Too many people go straight to the pods, hop out, and don't even talk to their teammates or figure out if they can talk. The first thing I usually do is say, hey, can you talk? After I figured that out, I have a little bit better understanding of what my next strategy should be. Where do y'all want to go? Following where you feel like going. Tip number 2, don't just hop in the pods. Take a look around. See where everybody else is going first. Sometimes you'll even see other teammates hold their hand and keep their team back. He's telling them to wait. Everybody loves the graveyard. It's got a lot of great stuff, but if everybody's already there, it's going to be a hot zone in the beginning when you have no weapons. So first, see where everybody is going, and you might not even need to hop into the pod. If you just hop off the edge and the cemetery is close, that'll keep people from really even seeing where you are at first, because most people are looking for those pods flying in the sky and seeing where they drop. You leave behind less evidence where you're headed. Which brings us to tip number 3. Scope out your surroundings as you land. Make sure you know where other teams are landing. That way, whenever you do get into a good spot with your team, you can easily tell them, okay, there was some guys coming over there by the observatory, let's head over there and make sure they don't get us first. Tip number 4, search diligently. Use the first half of the match to make sure you're searching for good guns, get plenty of armor, drink shakes, keep shakes on hand as well as bananas, find backpacks, and make sure you have plenty of good guns. Start off getting 1 stars, then look for the 3 and the 4-star guns. And every now and then you will find a gold 4-star gun right off the bat in the beginning. So make sure whenever there are no enemies around, you are utilizing that time in the beginning to strengthen your team as much as possible. Tip number 5. Make sure and stay near your team. Not necessarily too close. You don't want somebody to be able to come in with a rocket launcher and blast you all away. Keep each other within a distance that if trouble happens, you can easily come over and help your buddy or revive him if you need to. Every now and then you'll have a teammate who isn't concerned at the beginning how far away you are, and this is usually because he knows he's going to spend the first half doing the last tip we talked about, which is getting plenty of gear before he even worries about protecting you. For the most part, it's best to keep yourself in positions that it won't take long to get to each other. And if all else fails, climb something and fly over to them. Tip number 6. Be mindful of the storm. The storm is that big red wall that closes in and keeps everybody getting closer and closer together. Too many times people will get in firefights or whatever, and they've trapped themselves inside of a building with the storm at their back, and they have no choice to either get killed by the storm or pop out right where the enemy is firing. So always be heading to that square. And if you can, stay within that square so that you are the ones controlling the people that are coming to you. If you could figure out how to hold up the square and get high, you can actually snipe people off as they try to run to safety away from the storm, which is a very useful tactic, especially if you've been keeping your team together, because while you snipe from above, they can take care of the rest on the ground. Tip number 7, share with your team. They need your help. That means that you might have a whole bunch of ammo that they don't have and they need because they have that gun. Or they may need a banana, they may need a shake from you, something to help their armor. It's up to you to make sure your teammates have what they need. And don't just wait for them to ask. If you find something you're not using, maybe you're not good with snipers, go ahead and ask, say, hey, does anybody need this sniper I found over here?
Does anyone here use snipers? I got an SPR purple on me.
Go ahead and see if there's somebody who's actually good at using that weapon. Tip number 8, and I can't even believe I have to say this, but it happens to me so many times in matches. Don't revive people in the middle of a street and during a firefight. Why do you guys do that? Get to a safe spot, take care of the enemies that are around first, then go over to a safe spot and revive your teammate. It does them no good if you're dead because you decided to pull out your defibrillators in the middle of the street with a firefight going on. Tip number 9. Do your best to keep the high ground. The high ground is a really severe advantage, especially in a game where you can fly faster than you can run. You can also let a teammate get high to scope out where enemies are so you don't get ambushed. It also helps to at least have one member staying in the high ground as much as they can to scope out what other enemies may be out there. And you can tell them which direction to look, you can tell them whether or not they're coming up on them. And not to mention, when it comes to a firefight, the high ground usually wins, if they know what they're doing. And tip number 10, and take this with the utmost importance, only shoot if you can win. I can't tell you how many times I have seen a teammate whenever I'm in a little bit of trouble, but I'm not dead yet, and for whatever reason, they decide, you know what, I'm just gonna hop out and start blasting by myself. it doesn't work very often. And another reason it's a good idea not to just hop out is because you need to make sure your teammate hasn't already found another enemy, because if you start shooting this enemy and they start shooting that enemy, you've just split up your team, which breaks number 5. So the next time you go into Population 1, make sure and stick to these 10 rules, and if you're not getting first place immediately, you'll definitely find yourself getting third and second place a lot more.